How's it going, people? Sam and Slappy here, and we're carrying on with the Elf City design documents. In the last video I did ask people to leave comments if they wanted me to carry on doing this, and well, most of you did. So yeah, gonna be carrying on with it then, give you something more to listen to and some more info on the Elf City. So this is the second design document out of the 5. The link in the future updates doesn't actually work. You've got to faff about with the URL to try and sneakily link to it. It's a pain in the ass, but anyway, we've managed to get to it. So here's the design brief, the second one. This is the Ioworth and the Kadan design sheet. So yeah, starting off, we're with the Ioworth clan. They're Slayer and melee based. If you don't remember the Ioworth clan, well, basically they're the elves which you see throughout the Morning's End quest and stuff like that. They're basically the evil fellas. They conquered Privthinus and took it over, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is Ioworth. So first up, we have a screen render, a prototype render of the Ioworth section. From what I can see, this is the middle circle, which I'm assuming is like the main hub for the Ioworth clan. I'm pretty sure Privthinus is going to be fucking massive, I'm not going to lie. Because you have all the clans and each of them have their own like sectors, which I assume this is the Ioworth. So judging by the size of this, you can times this by, I think it's 8, because there's 8 clans as far as I remember. So yeah, and then you've got a central hub. Massive. So first things first, there's going to be a new Slayer Master, and the requirements for it is going to be combat level 175, and you'll also need a Slayer level of 85, which is, well, kind of nice, having it all in one place. So the Elven Slayer Master will go by the name of Morvrun, and he stands by a staircase / lift to the base of the crater where the Slayer dungeon resides. Yes, you read that right, that's actually going to be a new Slayer dungeon there. This Slayer Master likes to watch people fighting creatures, observing the different styles. Kuradal supplies him with beasts for his dungeon, making him a connoisseur. So the Slayer Master requires the combat level of 175 and 85 Slayer, and the Slayer Master's list of Slayer targets will be taken from Kuradal's targets, with roughly 20% more monsters per task. The list of creatures will be determined by looking at Kuradal's list of targets, removing the most cancelled Slayer creatures and adding the new Elf City elves. The list is currently composed of this. Wow, quite a few actually. Aberrant Spectres, Abyssal Demons, Aerits, Aquanites, Aviances, Black Demons, Black Dragons, Bloodvelds, Blue Dragons, Cresses Orden Maidens, Dark Beasts, Desert Strikeworms, the new Elf City elves, Fire Giants, Ganademic Creatures, Gargoyles, Greater Demons, Grotworms, Hellhounds, Ice Strikeworms, Iron Dragons, Jungle Strikeworms, Kelphites, Myth Dragons, Muspa, Mutated Dredingo, Niles, Order of Ascension members, Steel Dragons, and Water Fiends. Now, say Kuradal, I think on average probably gives you something, what, 100 to 200 maybe? Monsters per task? It's normally about 70 to 100, isn't it? So 20% extra, that'll be banging up to about 120, and according to this, the most cancelled Slayer creatures, they'll be adding the Elf City elves instead. So, basically this list I think is Kuradal's list with the Elf City elves added in. But maybe they'll look across the board of what tasks everyone has been cancelling, because no one wants to do them. Maybe they'll take those out as well, and that's where the Elf City elves will replace them. So yeah, should be quite interesting as the Slayer Master. So carrying on, the Slayer Master will have a random chance of offering the player a solo Slayer challenge. This challenge is a Hall of Fame challenge. The player is tasked with killing one of each of the following in any order: King Black Dragon, Queen Black Dragon, DKs, Kelphite Queen, Ziliana, Krill, Kriara, Grador, and a high level mole. So that's pretty cool actually. On death, the first boss the player defeats will drop a Dark Crystal. This Dark Crystal cannot be dropped or traded. While the player has this Dark Crystal in their inventory, they will receive a combat debuff when fighting any of the bosses on this list. The player receives one random Dark Crystal from each of the bosses on the list, taking up one spot in the player's inventory. This gives the player a choice to defeat all of the bosses with a reducing inventory and stacking debuffs, or to complete the Slayer challenge normally. If the player manages to complete the challenge though, with the increasing number of Dark Crystals in their inventory, and then visits the Elf Slayer Master, they'll receive a huge amount of Slayer XP. one of the dark crystals now bankable and usable on any monster, a title, and unlimited changes to the max guild PVM teleports. Unlimited charges, I think that's meant to be. If the player completes the challenge without a full inventory of dark crystals, they receive a large amount of Slayer XP. Completing the Dark Crystal Hall of Fame Slayer challenge will be a requirement for the trimmed comp cape. The Dark Crystal debuffs will be randomly allocated, one from each boss, and the debuffs might include some of this stuff. So, player melee damage is reduced by 20%, magic damage reduced by 20%, range damage reduced by 20%. Magic damage on the player is increased by 20%, same with ranged and melee. The boot slot will be considered as empty, your cape slot will be considered as empty, and your helmet slot will be considered as empty. So yeah, that could get interesting. That does actually sound quite funky. I might actually enjoy Slayer with that. Gotta be said. So 3 new additions will also be made to the Slayer shop with the Elf City update, and these will be available from all Slayer Masters. The player can pay Slayer points to make a Slayer creature a preferred Slayer target when allocated from any Slayer Master. And your preferred targets will have much greater chance of being allocated by the Slayer Master. So yeah, that's pretty good, kinda like that. A player can buy an update to their Ferocious Ring that allows them to teleport to the Elf Slayer Master directly, and to gain these same Ferocious Ring buffs in the Elf Slayer dungeon as are seen in Kuradal's dungeon. Obviously that'll require completing the quest to gain access to the city. A player can also pay to extend the number of creatures they need to kill for the current Slayer task by 20% of the original total. This can only be done once per task, before a single creature has been killed. So nice new thing as well, they're adding a Slayer dungeon, distractions and diversion. You will require 90 Slayer for access. So this dungeon, the Slayer dungeon, the D&D, is going to be instanced. And it's going to be once a week, apparently. The Elf Slayer Master will give the player 15 minutes within his dungeon. In this 15 minutes, the player will be given a series of smaller Slayer tasks, and with rewards given for the number of Slayer tasks that a player can complete within the time frame. The Slayer creature are tasked to the players as follows. Your first task will kill 5 tier 3s, then tier 2s, then tier 1, then tier 3, then tier 2, then tier 1, etc, etc. And you just got to complete as much as possible. Obviously we have no idea what tier 3, 2, 1 creatures are, but it'll probably be something like maybe like Gargoyles would be tier 3, and then Abyssal Demons tier 2, and then something high level like Aerits tier 1, who knows. Absolutely no idea. The Slayer Master's monsters will be grouped into 3 tiers according to how quick they are killed, so a player will face 5 fast creatures, 5 medium creatures, and then 5 slow creatures. The creatures within these bands will be chosen at random. This choice will account for the player's preferred and cancelled Slayer creatures. The player receives an amount of XP according to how many tasks they manage to complete within the time limit, and there is a bank chest in the dungeon for players to swap loadouts. There is also an altar and a mini summoning obelisk. The Slayer Master will be here for players who need to buy Slayer items whilst they also. So, you also have pickpocketing, and this is pickpocketing IO workers. This will require 86 thieving. So common pickpocketing drops from the IO workers will include various bones, ashes, food, and weapon seeds. What? Weapon seeds. For crystal weapons, I assume. Rare items will include frost dragon bones though. The aim of pickpocketing the Elf City is to give an end game to high level thieving with decent combat style drops from pickpocketing targets and high rates of XP. Pickpocketing will generally give the player common but useful skilling items for the Elf family skilling areas, and the chance of rare existing drops, Triskelion pieces for example, crystal sandstones and crystal acorns. Additionally, the aim to make pickpocketing less infuriating. Rather than stunning and damaging the player, elf workers in the Elf City will have a remote chance of spotting the player. If the player is spotted, no elf of that elven family can be pickpocketed for a period of 20 minutes, so the player will have to pickpocket in a different clan. The player is also not hit or damaged when they're spotted by an elven worker. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, 20 minutes? Really? Because, I mean, it's thieving, mind. Bear in mind the thieving can go from something along the lines of you try to pickpocket and you fail. And then you fail another 20 times before you get a success. And then other times you can just constantly succeed like 50 times and then you'll fail once. But if you get the failure upon failure upon failure and you go through all 8, you've only spent like 5 minutes. So you've still got to wait court. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure about that one. Seems quite funky anyway. We'll have to see how it works. Maybe they'll increase the success chance of actually pickpocketing them, which will increase the XP, which will make it useful. Well, in comparison to like Pyramid Plunder, for example. Because I mean, that does give you quite a bollock ton of XP, let's be honest. So here we go, combat. You have Ironworth Warriors. Apparently combat level of 150. And I've got to be said, I kind of like his armor. That looks quite funky. So, you do not kill an Ironworth warrior. They can never be dropped below 1 life. Instead, they drop kneeling to the floor with an NPC say that commends the player on their combat fortitude. They drop items that are similar to the items gained via pickpocketing. Defeating an elf counts towards the elf slayer task. Alright, fair enough then. Moving on to the outer circle of the Ironworth area. This kind of looks nice and funky. Little house thing. So you've got the pickpocketing NPCs, combat NPCs, and a prayer altar will also be there. This will act as an existing prayer altar. It will apply a minor overload style bonus to the player, boosting attack, strength, defense, range, and magic stats by a small amount, and gives players a damage boost as well. That's kind of funky, kind of like that. There'll also be a crystal chest located here, and it's literally a duplication of the one that's in Taverley right now. The same one you'd use your keys at, so make it easier to get to, I suppose. So moving on, that is the Ironworth clan we just covered. Moving on to the Kadan clan, this is magic and range. This will also be within the batch 1 updates of the Elven City. So apparently their symbol is basically Sered's symbol with a deer. There we go. So this is the prototype version for the Kadan. I'll have a little gander at this. I need a drink anyway. So it looks kind of funky. Seems to be kind of like a mirror copy of the Ironworth with some extra decorations like around by here. But for all in all, yeah, it seems pretty similar. So I'm assuming Privthinus is going to be kind of like a weird octagon shape-ish. But anyway, in here, Kadan is also going to have pickpocketing, obviously, level 86 thieving. And I dare say it's going to be exactly the same as pickpocketing from the other one, but the items you get is different. So you can see here, common pickpocketing drops will include weapon seeds, runes, bolts, arrows, and food. Rare pickpocket drops will include crystal items. So yeah. Same level, same requirement, and it'll follow the same rules as the Ironworth clan, where if you fail 20 minutes until you can try that clan again. But the items from this clan are going to be different, and I dare say this is going to follow across the board. So you can probably pickpocket off every single clan, and because each clan are kind of set to their own skills, you'll gain materials for that skill. Honestly, that's pretty awesome. Kind of like that. Depends on how good the XP and stuff is anyway. Oh, here we go. Here's some nice stuff here. So we've heard about crystal items and crystal seeds and stuff. These things dropping. Well, there we go. I can only assume these are going to be the new crystal weapons. Which honestly is pretty good, because the crystal bow actually kind of still holds up even today. I mean, it doesn't cost you any ammo, and fair enough, it's what, 180k is it? After you like fully used it. Drops down to about 180k to buy a brand new one, which is 1,000, 10,000 shots? I can't remember which. But it's still pretty good, it's pretty accurate, and still hits fairly strong, so honestly, this is kind of funky. Hopefully they'll have a buff or something onto them to make them a bit more useful though, because, well, I mean, considering the requirements for doing this, because it's the entire Elven line of quests you've got to do, which is fairly high stats, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of nice to have anyway. I'm interested to see how strong this wand and stuff is in comparison to what we've got in game at the moment, but all in all, kind of like that. So this is the concept art of 6 varieties of crystal weapons. So yeah, you'll be able to use them via crystal singing. But crystal singing, there's also an NPC that's being added into the Elven City, so you won't have to actually sort around with that. You can just talk to him and he'll do it for you. So all in all, good times. So this is the combat NPC for Kadan. A slightly different setup. This is the mage version gear. That I would kind of like to have. Looks kind of nice. Much better than the tier 90 stuff we got at the moment. That thing is fugly, gotta be said. So, wandering the middle ring will be Kadan range warriors as well as mages. The drops from these elves will be similar to the items gained from pickpocketing from the Kadan elves as well. And just like the others, you don't actually kill them, they just kneel to the floor and they'll drop the items for you. Simple as. But in this area you'll also find a battle staff shop. The player will be able to buy battle staffs from this location, 6 in stock every 24 hours. That kind of sucks ass, let's be honest. However, apparently there's going to be an Elf City task set. So that is an addition, and this will expand it much like the Varrock one did. Because Varrock, you only had a couple of battle staffs in there, but if you completed the elites, it's what, 64 you get? Something like that, ridiculously stupid amount. So yeah, this is going to follow by the looks. And then you move on to the outer circle of the areas, and it's more thieving, and this range gear does look funky. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the full thing. Do like that. Although he does look like... Yeah, I think he does. Reptile. I think he's rocking the reptile look. Thinking someone's been playing a bit too much Mortal Kombat. But yeah, either way, it looks funky. Kind of like us. Alright, this is something I personally haven't heard about at all, but this is the Max Guild. I didn't even know this is going to be added, but much like you have the Heroes and Legends and stuff, this follows the same suit except for it's for max people, I assume. So the Max Guild is surrounded by a fence at the gate. Players with 99 in any skill, oh there we go, or a quest cape can pass through this gate and spend time within the garden. In the garden is an NPC that will sell any of the skill capes within the game at 99k each. This is Megan, a direct competitor to Max in Varrock. She will also offer the same functionality as Max, including selling the Max cape. In dialogue, she supposedly hates Max, who is her eternal nemesis. There will also be 27 flagpoles to be located around the Max Guild in the garden, facing outwards like the flags on an embassy. The player can OP these stands? Operate, I assume, with 99 in the relevant skill or a quest cape to add a flag to the rank of the flags they have already owned. So basically, the flags won't be up, maybe, until you pull them up and you get 99. There we go. So inside the Max Guild then, the Max Guild itself can only be accessed by those players who have max skill levels, in other words all skills at 99. So you can enter the exterior of the guild if you have 199 or the quest cape, but in order to actually get inside you need actual max, in other words all skills 99. Kind of nice. The aim of this area is to provide an exclusive and convenient location for max players, giving them a log of their current achievements and a place to socialise. Inside of the guild will be the Completionist Cape. The cost of buying the cape is 15 mil, the same as Varrock. On entering the Max Guild, the player is greeted by an elf NPC. The player will be offered a crystal tree seed as a reward. This NPC also acts as a challenge quartermaster after this greeting, standing close to the entrance of the guild. There will also be a bank here. The player can teleport to the Max Guild by operating their comp cape as well. The Max Guild has one portal. This can be right clicked to change its destination to the following. Doing so costs some GP each time it is changed though. It can teleport you to God War's Dungeon, Virago, Queen Black Dragon, King Black Dragon, DK's, Calvite Queen, Calvite King, Corporal Beast and more. Really, DK's, I really hope that pops you like literally just outside here. It's an absolute pain in the fucking ass to get through there. Always requires a second person, it's annoying. Alright, granted it's easy and you can just call one of your mates and say, pop us open, but still, annoying. Additionally, within the guild, you will also find a permanent bonfire. So there we go. You don't have to fuck about. There's just a bonfire there for you to use. Additionally, if the player has completed the can't even speak now. If the player has completed the Elven Shattered Heart, the resultant NPC will also appear within the max guild. So we talked about this in the last one. The Shattered Heart is basically the Demark for statue, which you do weekly. Well, if you actually do it, then you do it weekly. This is an alternate version, basically. It's just gold version of it. And you make the same statue here, except for it does eventually complete fully and you can't do it again, so there we go. So Max Guild Interior 2, there is a throne at the back of the Max Guild that can only be sat on by players with a Completionist Cape or Trimmed Comp Cape. Only one player per server can sit on this chair at one time. When sat in the chair, all level 99 skills are increased to 100. Dungeoneering is visible at 121. Upon stepping off the throne, the stat increases are immediately removed though. Ah, that sucks. And that seems to be pretty much it. One other thing worth mentioning is apparently there will be a flax field and a spinning wheel within the Max Guild. So yeah, there is that. Which I suppose isn't bad. So yeah, all in all, the Ironworth, you've got a brand new Slayer Dungeon kind of like instance minigame once a week. You've also got a new Slayer Master, which is, well, higher and probably a little bit better than Kuradel, let's be honest. Also, new Slayer monsters to kill, these elven fellas, and you can pickpocket off them as well, and they all give you decent loot towards whatever the clan is affiliated with, so magic, range, crafting, whatever. But yeah, all in all, not bad at all. Plus you have the entirety of the Max Guild. Yeah, and we did find out that there is going to be an elven skill set, plus these pretty little crystal weapons. I want one. I want one now. But either way, that's pretty much it, people. So this is the second design document. If you still want some more, leave a comment down below asking for it, and, well, it shall be done. And if enough of you do ask for it and are interested, I will chuck it up later today. So yeah, 2 videos, 1 day. Job done. Happy days. So until next time, I will catch you all later. Have a good one.